Barrett, each time I listen to you speak, right from the Guinness World Record attempt by Tom Cruise for the longest interviewed marathon, where you spoke a lot on AI, I really do enjoy you talking about the future. Of course, you've lived and worked across different countries, but my question is very simple. How has it been? How has being in all these continents and countries really immersed your your view. Let me put it this way. Maybe let me restructure it because this is really an interesting question. You've lived and you've worked in across, let's say, different countries from Rwanda to Congo, to Canada to US. How has being immersed in the emerging global markets kind of shaped your understanding of innovation? Because you're a very innovative person.
Well, I'm actually in Tbilisi, Georgia right now, so I'm currently bordered by Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, the Black Sea, and Russia. Um, but I
Wow.
believe that, Albert Einstein had this concept he called combinatorial creativity, which is like actually some great breakthroughs happen not by people who are in their sphere of expertise, but other by people who are outside of their sphere of expertise, kind of like experimenting because they're not blocked to the thinking around you. So, say, like, for an example, in Canada, nobody was using WhatsApp. Everybody was using SMS text messages. And I was always using WhatsApp in Africa. It was something that, like, I would never even thought of it because I'd not imagined it. But by seeing how superior it is, that suddenly I started using it. And now, like, say, like, I've got many people in Canada use it now, but it's like you can't go back once you see it. Another example is like motorcycle taxis, right? In Canada, you don't use motorcycle taxis. And like, I would have to wake up in the morning, go down to the bus stop, go like, wait for the bus, go get hopped off, dropped off, transfer the bus, move over, the bus is late, where like, whoa, like I could just like get a motorcycle and be like, take me wherever I want. And it's very affordable. I think that there's something for, like everywhere you go, keeping like your eyes kind of fresh for what are things that like work, really nice and really well that might be missing in some other place. And then it's almost like, like a lot of being an entrepreneur isn't even needing to like think of something fresh. It's more like what's something that like works really well somewhere else that just kind of hasn't arrived yet that we could do or we could like leverage that type of thing. But I do believe also like, just being always kind of like outside of your bubble, like pushing your own personal boundaries. Like when stay in your neighborhood for your entire life, you're limited by the people around you. And like, say Emmanuel, like it's a wonderful thing talking to you. We come from, very different places, but like, it's a pleasure to talk. And I think like this is what knowledge sharing is about. And I feel like all day, a big thing though is having a task list. I keep like a task list on my phone because, actually like sometimes like the problem is not lack of inspiration, lack of creative spark, but rather there's always so many, but you just got to write it down and actually like do something with them.